What's going on, Atlan? Today I'm dropping an updated version of my Berserker build since I've made a ton of changes over time and the old one just doesn't cut it anymore. I should have done this video 2 weeks ago, but I was very busy and I'm sorry about that. I've noticed that the old video reached around 10,000 views and this is quite sad cause we have tons of changes. Big shout out to everyone who's been DMing me on Discord, leaving comments and sending me different Berserker builds to try out. You guys seriously keep the ideas coming and I truly appreciate it. Honestly, that last video was kind of an experiment for me. It was the first in the series and I was figuring things out as I went. Now I know exactly how I want to build these videos going forward, so here's my updated Berserker build. Hope you find it helpful. Let's kick things off with the most intriguing topic: which weapon is actually better? I know it's the question everyone's obsessed with, so I've been running a bunch of tests over the past few weeks, trying to figure out what really works. I've been comparing critical damage versus fire elemental, pyro enhancement, to see which one comes out on top. Here's the tricky part: you can't test it perfectly because of the extra bonus damage in the game. You can just turn that off to see the raw numbers, so it's always a bit messy. But here's what I've noticed: critical damage scales better if you already have a high crit damage stat. Elemental enhancement works better if your crit damage isn't that high. Without dragging this out, here's my take: if you've got full gold epic Insignias slotted and your crit damage is say 180 plus, the crit weapon will probably scale better for you, but if you're running pink Insignias and your crit damage is under 170, the elemental weapon might actually give you better results. Take that with a grain of salt though. That's why I decided to switch to the elemental tier 3 weapon myself. I'm not getting full epic Insignias anytime soon, and I've got some Berserker friends with similar combat power who are running the critical weapon, so we'll be able to compare results when the time comes. Consider this as a sacrifice for science and for all of us to get a better understanding. One more thing: the higher your elemental enhancement gets, the less impact each extra point has. So if you're already at 150 or 160, adding another 5 or 10 won't make a huge difference. At that point, focusing on boosting your crit damage will probably give you a bigger damage increase. Again, it's tough to get exact numbers because of the bonus damage scaling, and as our stats keep growing, that bonus gets even harder to calculate. But hopefully this gives you a clearer idea of what to aim for. Alright, let's talk gear. I know a lot of you are thinking about making the jump to Hexed species, and honestly, why wouldn't you? We all need some progression to feel like we're actually doing something in this game. Now for Berserker, Chariot is definitely the way to go. For this build we're running a 3-2 setup, which is basically the first stage of the transition. Let me clear up something about the Chariot set. It doesn't matter which specific Chariot pieces you craft when it comes to the set effect. Only the stats matter. Here's what I mean: as long as you have 3 out of 5 Chariot pieces equipped, you'll trigger the full 3-piece set bonus. That bonus actually combines the special effects from all 5 pieces, even the 2 you don't have equipped. So, the only thing you should care about when picking your Chariot pieces is the stats you're getting, not the individual special effects. You'll get the full set effect anyway, as long as you're running 3 pieces. Now let's talk about the order you should craft your gear pieces, because yes, it actually matters in a way. First up, helmet. Always craft the helmet first. The stat boost you get from it is insane, and on top of that you get a 5% damage bonus, which is huge, so helmet first, no debate. Second, gloves. The stats on the gloves are also really impressive, making them the obvious next choice. Third, breastplate. There is not a massive stat difference here, but you need to complete the Chariot set and unlock the full set bonus, so breastplate is your third piece. Now for the last 2 slots, boots and pants, you've got options. This is where the transition gets interesting. You can either stick with the 2 pieces class set bonus, or you can craft 2 more Hexed chest pieces. Don't bother crafting extra Chariot pieces, you won't get any new set effects, so it's a waste. Unforgiving boots, from the other hand, should be your fourth piece. The special effect on the boots give you extra penetration, which is a massive damage boost. Honestly, just the boots alone can outscale the damage you get from the 2-piece class set, so they are a must-have. For the fifth piece, pants, it depends on your weapon choice. If you're running the crit damage weapon and you don't have a crag insignia, you can go for the unforgiving pants for the elemental attack activation. If you're using the elemental weapon, I recommend the cavalry pants. They give you more elemental enhancement, and if you're fighting in the air, you get a 10% skill damage bonus. Most of your skills can be cast in the air, except for 2 in your rotation, so the gains are pretty wild. But honestly, for the last piece, it's up to you. Both options are solid. The Unforgiving Punch also debuffs your opponent's elemental resistances, which is great for raids as you also help your team. So pick whichever fits your playstyle best. Personally, I'm going for the Cavalry. Alright, let's talk circuits. First off, I owe you all an apology. I messed up my calculations last time. I overestimated attack speed and underestimated pyro enhancement. Honestly, I mixed up the numbers between those two stats. My bad. Not many people called me out in the comments, but I still feel bad if anyone followed my advice down the wrong path. Anyways, after running more tests, here's what you should actually be aiming for. The main stats haven't changed, but for substats, these are the real MVPs for Berserker: pyro enhancement, crit sense, crit damage, and cooldown reduction. If you can get a good roll on any of those four, you'll see the biggest impact on your DPS. Of course, ropey attack and strength, agility are always nice to have, but they are not as game-changing as those top 4. So if you are min-maxing, focus on those substats. Trust me, your damage will thank you. Looking ahead to Insignias, a lot of you pointed out that I only showed epic Insignias before, and you were absolutely right. Let's be real, unless you are some kind of mega whale, getting full epic Insignias just isn't realistic for most players. So here's the reorb version using only pink Insignias, which is way more accessible for everyone. Honestly, I wouldn't recommend spending gold on this Insignias either. If you're grinding hard and playing a lot of characters, you'll have plenty of chances to get them from scrolls and boxes. That's exactly what I'm doing. I haven't bought a single one, just using what I get from drops, and it's working out great. So here's the pink Insignia setup for my helmet, using the Andre Insignia, boosting my attribute enhancement. The Tower Shield Meg Insignia for the breastplate. For the Greaves, we're using a Goramos Insignia to increase further our damage bonus. For our gloves, we're using a Vic Brotherhood Insignia. Actually, this is one of the most important pieces, as alongside with the Bat Pet, that scorching the enemy increases our damage further by 4%. And this is exactly the reason. We're gonna discuss about it in a bit. Moving on to the boots, we're using an Ancient Guardian Insignia, boosting our cooldown reduction and attack speed. Moving on to the necklace, increase our crit damage with the Thunderbolt Striker Insignia. Again, on the bracers, we're using another VIK Brotherhood Insignia, and this is why I said earlier we're gonna discuss it in a bit. Cause of the Bat Pet, I decided to switch from Thunderbolt that I was using to the Vic Brotherhood Insignia. For the ring, we're using again an Andre Insignia, boosting our attribute enhancement even further. For our shield, we're using again a Goramos to increase our damage bonus. And finally, for our last piece, we're using again a Tower Shield Meg Insignia, which was the last piece that I acquired yesterday. Moreover, for outfit Insignias, you got 6 choices. Every single choice is boosting a skill from your rotation, so technically there isn't a bad choice. However, 3 skills, Condemnation Siphon, Crimson Cross, and Army Breaker, doing more damage from their nature, so they are being considered a better choice, not only because of the damage increase, but also because of when the level increase, you'll find yourself replacing skills like Earthquake and Annihilation, so you hit 2 birds with 1 stone. Lastly, let's talk about skills and rotations. I'll be real with you, I've tested a ton of builds, people have sent me the rotations in the comments, in DMs, even on the official Discord. I've tried them all. And here's the truth, Berserker doesn't really have a strict skill rotation. I know some people swear by certain combos, syncing cooldowns, casting specific skills first to get them back faster, all that, but after testing everything on the dummy, my DPS didn't really change. That said, there's one thing I actually agree with. In short fights like the Golden Flea Challenge, where you've got about a minute and a half, using your first ultimate instead of the second actually boosts your overall DPS. With decent cooldown reduction, you can squeeze in up to 3 casts of the first ultimate compared to just 2 of the second. So for short fights, go with the first ultimate. For longer fights, raids, void nest or anything where you need more burst or you are in for the long haul, the second ultimate is better. And for Gold Rush, I actually use a different setup. For the past 3 weeks, I've consistently hit top 5 on my server and even snagged first place 2 weeks back, so I'll share my current skill build plus the best specs I got from everyone who sent them in. I tested over 15 different setups and these are the ones that actually work the best. That's why I make these videos, so we can all test, share and improve. If you think your build is better, send it my way. If it outperforms mine, I'll switch and give you a shout out, or you know, keep your secret OP build to yourself if you want, no judgment. Alright, that's it for today. I'm cooking up something special for all you PvP maniacs out there. I've decided to split PvE and PvP content completely, so you will finally get the focused guides you deserve. Stay tuned because we are about to dive deep into those bloodthirsty arenas. As for PvE, I'll keep covering other classes soon, so don't get too comfortable. Stay sharp, keep grinding, see ya!